Still starting. All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 4th episode of the Geek Culture and Philosophy podcast. My name is Mike.
And I'm RC.
And we are here to talk about things in geek culture, philosophy, politics, current events, science, future events, past events, history, anything that interests us, really, is what we're interested in here. And we want to cover multiple topics in the show to give you guys a nice variety. And that's what this show is all about. And I know some people are tired of Magic, but a lot of stuff's happened this week in Magic. And I want to start off by talking about some stuff. Now, first of all, we have Masters 25, which is now fully spoiled as of the recording of this episode.
Yes.
Let's
just go over the fact we are going to have timestamps. So if you don't want to hear the Magic stuff, you can skip ahead.
Definitely, yes. We will have timestamps again. We had them last episode. There's going to be a theme. And we're going to talk about themes here, especially with Masters 25, which theme is seem to be bad. That's the theme. But anyway, so overall, I would give this set on just the level of just seeing the reprints, not playing the draft format or whatever, obviously. I would give it like a D at best. It's got some good stuff in it, but it's got a lot of bad stuff in it. RC, what do you think about it on the whole?
Well, if you're going to give it a letter grade, then that's not something I've thought about, but I don't know.
Letter grade. I just need I just want your overall thoughts.
I'd say it's an average rating, just because I think there's some good cards in the set, but there's also some bad cards in the set. And the real kickers for me are the fact that this is yet another set where the packs are going to be $10 a piece. And in addition to that, this is supposed to be a form of Magic's 25th anniversary celebration, kind of showing all the classic hits from the whole history of the game. And that's not really jumping out to me when I see it. And I feel like, I don't know how it stands as a draft set, but my kind of feeling on a set where you're paying $10 a pack is that people are not going to be drafting it all that much. So really focus more on the content than on how the draft feels. So I think it could have been better. Is just so probably a C.
Okay. All right. Now, here's the thing. They did get some hits. There's definitely some cards in here that do represent Magic's history pretty well, at least for the times that they came out, right?
Sure.
Obviously, Jace the Mind Sculptor is a very iconic card.
Yes.
It got banned in Standard, is the most powerful Planeswalker of all time, is of the Planeswalker that Magic considers the most popular, right?
Right. His face is even on the box, I think.
Yeah, yeah. So and I think they did a good job of picking cards from specific sets that are the best cards in their sets. Even set blocks that weren't that great, like the Theros block. I think they picked good cards for like Eidolon of the Great Revel, for Journey in the Nyx. That's the best card in that set. And then what was the other one? I'm sorry. The
Nyx Fleece Ram is a pretty good card, or was a pretty good card.
Well, yeah, no, that one definitely saw play, and I like the art. I like the art a lot on Nyx Fleece Ram.
Me too. Really I think it's good.
With the whole the Greek theme of the set, it almost looks like you'd see something painted on a Greek pottery or whatever that archaeologists would find. Mm-hmm. Obviously it looks better than that would, but I mean, the shape, I guess. I don't know. But
the artwork's good on that card, yeah, and it's a decent card.
Yeah, and it's for what it does, it's very good. So they chose some cards well, didn't choose some other cards great. If you're gonna make a Masters 25, right, RC?
Mm-hmm.
You would think, you said, you want the hits of all of Magic's history, right? And this doesn't seem like the hit. This just seems like they picked a few hits, and then they were like, let's just hit random on Gatherer for a little bit, and then just throw those in.
Which maybe they did to justify the draft format, but I don't care if the draft format is bad. I want there just to be overall good cards when I open a pack. And there's some chaff in here that I wouldn't even consider holding on to if I were to open packs. I mean, yeah. So do you want to start out specifically talking about cards?
Yeah, let's talk about some specific cards. I want to talk about the mythics, for example.
Sure.
From my count, there's about 5 mythics of like the 15 that are like worth opening.
All right.
So I can just name them real quick: Jason the Mind Sculptor, Imperial Recruiter, Vendilion Click, Ensnaring Bridge, Chalice of the Void, and I think one of the multicolored ones. I'm sorry, one sec. And oh wait, no, these all stink too. So maybe just those actually.
All right. Those 5 you named sound good to me.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some rares that I think are like better than mythics that I'd be more excited to open just regular rares.
Oh,
I'm glad when they do that.
Definitely. I like when they do that, but the thing is like, to me, the mythic. So even when you look back, right, on like the first Modern Masters, which I agree is not the best example because they loaded that set with value.
Yeah.
But at least you could load it with a little bit of value to where you don't feel as bad. So if you open up a mythic Tree of Redemption, you might open up a Kitchen Finks in your pack too that's worth $5. They at least bought you half the pack again, right?
Exactly. Yep.
But that doesn't exist in this set. Yes, there's some good commons and uncommons. Lightning Bolt, Swords of Plowshares, Nettle Sentinel. There's some stuff. Like, it's not bad. I'll give it. That's its best. I will say this is the best feature of this set. Is they did better with the commons and uncommons than they have done in recent Master sets, in my opinion.
Okay. Commons especially, I'd say.
Yeah, commons especially.
Yeah.
Like including one of the most powerful Magic cards ever printed at common, I think. Cultivate. Like, that's crazy.
Okay. Yeah, you love that card.
This is a preview to our top 10 favorite Magic cards. Cultivate is making the list. Just letting you guys know. Just to give you a little preview. I love the card called. Well, actually, I love the card Kodama's Reach, which is the same card, but it's arcane from Kamigawa block. But that's neither here nor there. By the way, I think the Kamigawa cards they really missed on. Like what? No Jit, no Sensei's Top, no. Like those are like the best Kamigawa cards. And you put in like, whatever. Like that's what I'm saying. Like there's so many.
They're forgettable. Azusa. Azusa's like the best one.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, Azusa is the best one. You're right. Azusa is not bad. I'll give, but still, no Jit, no Top. Come on.
Yeah. Oh, and there's a land too from Kamigawa, the one that lets both players draw a card. It's okay.
Yeah, it's worth because of EDH. It's actually, I mean, it's gonna plummet after this set, but I think it was at $13 before the reprint. So that's not bad. But come on now. Or like Mirrodin block. Like, I don't know. You got Chalice of the Void, which is a great one. But, like, come on. Give me my Mox Opals, man. I want my Mox Opals. Where are they at? And Filterland. Look, what is iconic about Filterlands? Can someone explain this to me?
They just needed a reprint.
But you know what needs a reprint more? The enemy fetches again. They need another reprint because they're just still too expensive. Like those are way more iconic. They see these of the 5 that they printed. I'm pretty sure only Cascade Bluffs and Twilight Mire are the only ones that see play. Maybe Fetid Heath and like the black white token stacks in Modern. I think maybe.
I was looking at pre-sale prices and Fetid Heath was the most expensive of the Filterlands. Okay,
well then maybe it does see more play. I haven't played Modern in a while, so I could be wrong. Yeah. I do remember Cascade Bluff seeing play in some of the blue-red, some like the control decks. And I do remember
when Splinter Twin was a thing, everybody liked the Cascade Bluffs for that deck.
Yeah, I mean maybe since Splinter Twin got banned. And then all right, Rich and Imported Rare, that's great. I'll give him hats off to Wizards for Rich and Imported Rare.
Yeah, that's a good one.
But the thing is like now that you've done that, you can never do it again. Because look at like here's the thing. I'm not saying they shouldn't reprint it. That's fine. But what I'm saying is there needs to be other stuff. It can't just be Rich and Imported Rare because what we've already seen from Eternal Masters, Wasteland was like a $90, $100 card, and now it's like under 30 from the rare reprint in Eternal Masters. Okay. And Rich and Import gets played even less than Wasteland.
Sure.
So I don't know. It's tough. So, like, here's the thing. It's just so hit or miss. Like, Vindicate. I'm looking at the multicolor cards right now. Vindicate, Blightning. But then you have stuff like Rurik Thar.
Yes.
What is? I understand.
I
Dragon's
like
Maze
Rourke
is
Star,
not.
but he's not worth anything.
I understand Dragon's Maze is not an easy set to pull cards from. So
No.
maybe Rourke Star is just the best one. Okay.
Yeah.
But oh man, or like
They could have reprinted Ral Zarek or the
yeah.
Elemental, the voice of whatever
Oh,
Resurgence.
Voice of Resurgence. There you. That's the.
Yeah.
Put that at rare. Why does that need to be mythic? That
Or
could have
put,
just been a
yeah, that could have been a regular rare. Mm.
it's
Or it could have replaced Prosh, Sky Raider of Kerr, which I don't think is a very worthwhile card, but they made him one of the
yeah, there's other that's what I'm saying. You could have just made it a mythic and replaced Prosh or Animar. Like
right.
anyone who owns either of one of these cards already who wants to own one already owns it, in my opinion. Like those are if you wanted one, you go get one. Here's some good ones. Original Nicol Bolas. Great. Awesome.
Cool.
Love that.
Yeah.
He's my favorite character in all of Magic's lore. He's one of the only good ones in my opinion, especially the way they write them now. Maybe I'm not as versed. I never read the old books. I came into Magic way after they stopped making books.
I mean, we'll have to do a top 10 Magic characters at some point. That would be a good list.
Yeah, that'd be a good one. Definitely would include Brian Stoutarm on mine. Just kidding. Obviously. Like some of them are good. It's just hit or miss, man. Like
I will say
saying,
this Vindicate is like probably the sweetest Vindicate I've seen, just because it has that Yawgmoth's mask as the watermark.
Yeah,
that's I mean, cool. That thing looks awesome. Or like right now in my cube, with no flavor text. Yeah, right now in my cube, I have the Vindicate with the Sorin like destroying a lesser vampire, and I mean that artwork's cool and everything. But this one, if I got my hands on this one, I'd probably replace it because I like the Predator and the Weatherlight fighting. I think that's cool artwork, and then the fact that it's got the mask.
When I first saw this art for Vindicate, when I first started playing Magic, I just assumed that was like this is like straight out of Star Wars because that looks like a TIE Interceptor.
It does look like a TIE fighter, yeah.
Yeah. But I understand it's like that's what they look like in the story, so whatever.
Yeah.
Like so to me, that's the defining thing of this set is there are hits, but the hits are just so vastly outweighed by the horrible misses, like really bad misses.
Mm-hmm.
Like just watching like the people on Reddit like speculate on what the mythics are going to be when they haven't been spoiled yet, and then they just get totally destroyed. Like,
yes. It was so beautiful when Plague Wind was the last rare, and I was reading the form, and everyone's like, "Oh, so that's how it ends." It just like ended with a sigh. It was it was fun.
Or like there's just everyone's speculating what the last green mythic's gonna be, and everyone's like, "Well, are they gonna put Tarmogoyf in this set?" No, they ain't putting Tarmogoyf in this set. They're going to give you Tree of Redemption. You know everyone's favorite card from Innistrad, Tree of Redemption. I know a lot of people hate on it, but like, Innistrad has such good cards in it. There's so many good ones. Right?
There are, yeah. Innistrad was a very powerful set.
Yeah, it was just great. Like, I mean, obviously the highlights are Snapcaster Mage and Liliana, but you also have like Geist of Saint Traft and like that Garrick they put in that set. Yeah, I like that Garrick. Cool. That was the first like flip Planeswalker, right? That was cool.
Yeah, and Bloodline Keeper.
Yeah, like that's a good card.
Cards. There's good cards.
Yeah.
All right. So, should we actually talk in particular about like maybe you go over a few of your favorite cards of the set, and then I could do the same.
Okay, so number one is Cultivate. Okay. What would be your favorite card in the set?
My favorite card in the set. Well, I have like kind of weird reasons for it. I mean, I did say I really like that Vindicate, but I maintain a cube that uses modern border cards, so I kind of get excited for sets like this because it's my chance to pick up old cards that might now have the modern border on them. And in particular, probably my number one favorite card here would be Armageddon, which I know is not worth anything at all, but it's very cool that it's finally in a modern border, a modern non-foil border. And it's got that classic like Magic M behind it in the text box. And that's cool. I feel like every cube should have an Armageddon in it, and finally I can put one in. So I'm excited about that. And yeah, and Simeon's Spirit Guide, because that's a powerful little red effect, and red is unfortunately the weakest color in Magic, I believe, and getting to boost yourself by 1 mana like a turn early is kind of that's a powerful effect. So I'm glad to get those 2 cards.
All right, that's pretty cool. I didn't think I wasn't even thinking about it in that way for you, but that's cool. And then
yeah, I mean, I'd like to get an ensnaring bridge at some point, but right now they're like $35. I'm gonna wait till they drop a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. I was actually looking at it when I was building my Tezzeret Agent of Bolas Pithing Needle deck, and I was like, "Oh, these are pretty expensive." So,
so now's your chance. Well, wait, you gotta wait like a month or two, and then the prices are up.
Yeah. Hopefully, Tezzeret doesn't get banned in Modern by then.
It is so powerful, and I called it. Like, what was that, episode 1? I predicted it. So
yeah.
All right. So what cards do you like out of the set? If you were to pick like 2 or 3 of like your favorite cards, you said Cultivate and what else?
Just being in there with like not specific cards, but I do love that they have all the watermarks behind all the cards.
Yes, I like
the different sets. That was a very nice touch.
Mm-hmm.
But if I had to pick favorite, sorry, I'm like blanking here, but I do like. You know what? I will say I do like Nyx Fleece Ram. That is actually, I know we talked about it earlier.
Nyx Fleece Ram.
Okay. I played that card in Standard a lot when it was in Standard. I really like that card.
Sure.
The fact that they, I like. Oh my god! I just realizing how much I don't like in this set.
You're focusing on the negative.
Yeah, I know. I can't. I'm trying to. All right, Twisted Image. I love the card Twisted Image. I think that's a great card.
Twisted Image. Is that a black card?
As a blue card. Do you know what it does?
It's a blue card.
Yeah.
Twisted Image. I'm looking at it right now. Twisted Image. You like Twisted Image?
I like Twisted Image because it's nothing better in Modern than when you Twisted Image someone's like Noble Hierarch or Birds of Paradise on turn 1.
And draw a card.
Yeah, it's like you draw a card and like kill their best card. It's great. I love it.
Okay. Right.
I understand it's not their best card, but it's like it slows down their whole strategy. I'm a big fan. Sure. I guess I'll have to say, obviously, since I was a Legacy Elves player, seeing Nettle Sentinel in an actual set again is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's cool that it got reprinted. Yeah, it was kind of expensive for a common.
I do like the art on the new Fierce Empath a bit. I like the other one better though. Okay. I do like Fierce Empath, one of my favorite EDH cards. Oh, Merfolk Looter. Oh, I forgot Merfolk Looter. That's like the best card.
That's a good card, yeah.
I love Merfolk Looter. I'm sorry, I'm going way over 2 or 3 now. But we'll go. My last one I'll say is the fact that they put Shadow Mage Infiltrator at
uncommon.
On uncommon.
Yeah.
Like further, just like destroying the sanctity of invitational cards. But
yes, they are. Yeah, but, it's John Finkel's card, right? He's like
John Finkel's card.
He's like Mr. Magic, right?
Yeah, he's Johnny Magic, man.
Johnny Magic.
I mean, he's a bit of a CF, but you know, it's okay. Well, we give him a pass. But yeah. All right, and that's our thoughts on that's my thoughts on Masters 25. I'll sure. Give the. I know I'm talking the positives right now, but those are really the only positives in my opinion. Like the watermarks, some of the reprints are cool. But overall,
all right. Well, so okay, to take it on a, I'll get a few gripes out of the way here. So I did hear that their goal was to print at least 1 card from every set in Magic's history.
Every black border set, yeah.
In a black bordered set, some of the choices they chose, I think they probably could have done better. And the 3 in particular I'm thinking of are Path of Peace is the 1 representative card from the original Portal set. Deadly Designs from Conspiracy 2, and Urg Raiders from Arabian Nights. And I think all 3 of those are like weak, forgettable cards. And those sets, while not being like super powerful, and I understand they're limited by the reserve list with the Arabian Nights cards, but there are much more iconic cards I think they could have added there. And in particular, I was just thinking like Original Desert from Arabian Nights. I don't believe that's on the reserve list. And with the Amonkhet cards being around now, I mean, if you just had the original Desert printed too, that would please those people who are making those like little janky desert themed decks.
Sure, but correct me if I'm wrong, but Blood Moon is from Arabian Nights, right?
No, that's the Dark.
Oh, it's the Dark. You're right. Oh, that's right, because I never mind. You're right. I apologize.
That's all right.
So you're better at Magic history than I. Like everything that's before Scars of Mirrodin block, I don't even know what sets things are from.
It's not a big deal.
But Like
Blood Moon
some of
does
the
look
things are
cool with
good.
the dark symbol. So some of the yes.
Like some of
Go
the
ahead.
cards they chose, I think, were good. Like Biden of Thassa for Theros block.
Okay.
Well, not the greatest one, but if you're only going to do a regular rare, like it saw a lot of play in that standard. Like Mono Blue Devotion was like the best deck for a
Yeah.
while. I mean, Mono Black Devotion was also great, but a
Yeah.
lot of the cards that were in Mono Black Devotion, like other than like Grey Merchant of Asphodel, all the good cards were from Ravnica block. Like it was like the Demon, the Pack Rat,
Yeah. You're right. You're right. Yeah.
I guess Thoughtseize was technically Theros because that's where they reprinted it,
Hmm.
uh, but yeah, I don't mind. See, the thing is, I don't mind those much. Like the Future Sight one, yeah. I mean, I'd rather it be Tarmogoyf, but Pact of Negation is not a bad one. Like I think that card's cool.
No, that's a good
Um,
card.
uh, but yeah, any other were your gripes just like the cards they chose to represent, or
Yeah, just yeah for that reason. I mean, there are many forgettable commons, but when I look at them, I see. I mean, I do see like a good card for most of the sets of Magic, but then there's just uh, uh, like uh, like you pointed out before we started recording that they wanted to probably have a certain threshold of cards that had the morph mechanic on it, probably for draft purposes. Some of these cards, like from Cons Block with morph on them, are just like forgettable, like junk. And when I look at it, I just think like, oh, that's taking a slot of a card that might be a little more like from
iconic?
Magic's past. Yeah,
Yeah.
that is in need of a reprint. I mean, there are boxes and boxes of Cons Block commons that are just like sitting around. They're just, I mean, nobody really wants them. They're just junk cards. And I mean, now is the chance for them to reprint things from old sets that aren't out there. And when I see them err on the side of printing like so many new cards, I feel like they were missing opportunities.
Yeah, and I think if there's mechanics for Magic, I understand. The thing is like, I'll be honest. Like, yes, it's fun to draft a format, but if I want to draft, I'm not drafting anything worth $10 a pack just for the fun of drafting. Like, if I want to have a powerful draft format, I'll just cube.
Right,
Like
right.
most communities have a cube available to them. Like most people have a friend that has a cube, and if you
Mm-hmm.
don't, like, there's always I don't know.
It's not
The
that
thing
hard to
is,
build one.
it's not that hard to build one if you want one. Like most people will have proxy cubes for a lot of the time
Yeah,
anyway.
yeah,
Um,
exactly.
so if you want it like that kind of draft form, and they like, oh, and you're like, oh, I want prizes, and I'm like, fine, then everyone put up prizes. Everyone could put $5 in to put
Right.
prizes. Like even with, I'm sure your store will be happy to sell you packs to put in your prize pool for your cube draft. But you know, it's to me, it's just dumb. It's just dumb to say like, oh, I'm fine with paying $40 to draft if the draft is good. I'm like, there's like there's recent sets that have good draft formats. Like you could just go easy. Like you brought up Cons. I think the like triple Cons was a
Mm-hmm.
great draft format.
Sure.
It was really fun to play.
I
So if you
drafted
just
it
want,
like twice, but
okay,
it was fun. It was a good set.
I drafted it a lot, and it was a great draft format. I didn't mind the Battle for Zendikar draft format. I thought that was good too.
Okay.
Like, yeah, I think that set had some problems, but you know, the draft format was pretty good. That's what I'm saying. Like the draft format, I don't know how much work goes into the draft formats because I know they test a lot for standard too. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
but to me, the draft formats seem uh, pretty good. Like there are misses. Like I didn't like any of Theros block.
Sure.
The end of oh, you could just go back to like original Return to Ravnica, like this, just Return to Ravnica, no Gate Crash or whatever.
Yeah.
Like that was well, I think the way they did it is you just did it separately anyway. But either way, like original Return to Ravnica draft, that was great, man. And those
Mm-hmm.
packs aren't that expensive right now.
No,
At least I don't think
no.
so. Like
I
that's what
almost
I'm
bought
saying.
a box of I almost bought a box of not what's the one in the middle con set.
Fate Reforged.
Fate Reforged. I almost got that for $68 the other day. It would have been like I did the math. It was like $1.80 a pack. And I'm like, I want to, but there's just no good cards there.
And if you want to have, sorry, go ahead.
Just drafting that set, I don't think would be good. I think you need like Khans of Tarkir to go with it,
or Dragon, either
or
one.
Dragons,
But yeah, it's yes, that would not be good. The only value you can get from that set, I guess, is the Ugin. And I think like one in every I don't know, what was it, 20 packs had a fetch land in it, right?
Oh yeah, you're right. There would be fetch lands in it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they don't take up a rare slot. I think it's supposed to be it's a special thing or something. I don't know. I can't.
Yeah.
It's been a while. But anyway, but okay, say you want a premium draft format, like you want to pay a good amount of money per pack and draft a good set. Don't draft this crappy set. Draft an actual set that has good cards in it that you can It's still like for example, I was looking at boxes of Scars and Mirrored, and you can get them for like $230 right now.
Okay. And that was the set that brought you into Magic, right?
That was well, it didn't bring. I like the thing is, I think the phrase "bring me into Magic" is a little poor there, because Magic is what brought me into Magic, not any specific set. But it is when I started playing, so that what I do remember it fondly. But and I didn't even draft a lot back then because drafting costs money. I just I spent a little money I had to buy a pre-constructed deck and grab bags and stuff and have built my collection, and then just played casual with people, until I actually started getting competitive at the game. But yeah, I remember playing a couple seal tournaments and stuff, and opening I remember the first Mythic I ever opened was a Cough of the Hammer from that set, and that guy was so cool. I was just he did such cool stuff. It got me to play colors that I didn't want to play before, because I was only playing green at the time. And I was like, oh, I got this Call for the Hammer. I'll make this red deck, and it'll be great. You know what I mean? That kind of stuff. I know I'm kind of rambling here, but it just shows you how much I love the game so much. It's just remember fondly. But back to my original point with this, the MSRP of these boxes are $240. And yes, I know the highest they're going for right now is $180. I think these these Masters 25 sets. These boxes right now are going for $180. So yeah, but if you want to have an actual premium experience where you're paying an actual $10 a pack, or pretty much $10, or not actually. It's less, because in these boxes you only get 24 packs.
24 packs.
But if you get a Scars of Mirrored box, that's 36.
Right. So
you can draft and then have some left. You can buy 2 boxes and get 3 drafts out of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
So that's what I would suggest. Honestly, oh man.
So bottom line, don't give Wizards of the Coast any more of your money. Buy old product.
Yeah, buy old product. Yeah, buy stuff that is only benefiting the person you're buying it from, not Wizards.
Right. So on that note, you want to go into the next topic, talking about Magic?
More Wizards. Yeah. So this week, I'll say prominent Magic YouTuber, because most Magic YouTubers don't have a lot of subscribers.
Sure.
This guy only has 30,000, I want to say, something like that. MTG Lion on YouTube got a notice. Well, a lot of people got notices that they're under investigation by Wizards, team that they use. It might just be one person, because they have stuff, because they have a legal team that consists of one person. So stuff like that. But I don't know. They have this team that investigates your wrongthink on social media platforms, to then ban you from the game of Magic the Gathering.
The thought police is now a real thing, a real concept.
Yeah, the thought, they're literally they've determined your thought crime. And what was his crime? It was it was making videos in support of getting background checks for judges and owners and people who run local game stores.
Background checks. Okay, well that seems So what was the reason for the background check?
The reason for the background check is because people who were on sexual offender and pedophile lists were able to become Magic judges, and these people have power over MTG Purple has a great video when this first came out where he's talking about it, and he's just the more you think about it, the more disgusting it gets, to where because say there's an odd number of people, right? The judge is in control of who gets to buy. You know what I mean? And the judge can just give a child a buy, and then I'm not saying that here's the thing. I will disclaim.
So that actually calls the tournament structure into question, because now the attractive children have an unfair advantage over the ugly children, because they're going to be getting the buys.
No, what? Yeah, that is such attractiveness privilege there, and it's.
No, I remember when I was younger, I got into Magic when I was in middle school, and my mom would take me, sometimes one of my friends, up to the Magic or the game store during the summer when we were on summer break and just drop us off there, and we were just like left alone to our own devices. I mean, there was like maybe one or two people from the game store who'd like pop in and kind of like oversee things, but for the most part, we were just like, it was a free for all in that back like game room at the store. And I think that's the setup for a lot of younger people who play Magic. Their mom just drops them off at the tournament or whatever little event.
It's used as babysitting, is what it's used as.
It's a form of babysitting, and it's like, okay, now you're just under the care of this, like, for all intents and purposes, stranger who's going to watch you for the next several hours.
And the thing is, these background checks exist in other games. Like, they're already mandatory for Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh, like rival games to Magic the Gathering. And the fact that like people had to fight tooth and nail to try and get these enforced, and honestly, I don't think that anyone's trying to protect pedophiles. That's not what I think is happening. But what I think is happening is since the source, we'll just name him, Unsleep Media, since the source is someone that is widely disliked in the Magic community of this, they're fighting it tooth and nail because they just don't want them to be right. That's how hard they're engaged in their culture war. Is that they'd rather not directly but indirectly protect pedophiles in order to make sure that they maintain their rightness.
Yeah, just to win an argument.
Just to win an argument. You know what I mean? Like they'll just say things like, to him like, "Oh, you only care about this pedophile thing because you got banned from Magic and you're salty." And I just be like, well, even if that's true, let's just say it's 100% true. He's only in it for selfish reasons, right?
Sure.
Like, he's still protecting children from pedophiles, right? Like, that's the thing, right? Like, to me, I don't care what the reason you do that for is. That's a good thing. But anyway, back to MTG Lion, he got threatened with the ban with the same kind of letter that Jeremy got or Unsleep Media got before he got banned. But what Wizards, I guess, didn't know or did know but forgot because they've had legal action with him in the past is that he went to law school. And while he's not like, I don't think he's a bar certified lawyer, he knows the law. And like he's also studied law, especially this like constitutional First Amendment law, which is what this would fall under.
Okay.
And he's just like, hey, and he's a very successful business owner. Like, he's got money and he's got time. And that's a lot of things. It's two things that people don't have when Wizards goes after you, or any company really goes after you, is you don't have time. You can't take off time from your job and spend your life savings on a lawyer to try and fight stuff like this. And that's how these companies win, right? Because they can just last you.
Sure.
But the fact that he can just represent himself and take all the time he needs to fight this, I think would be very interesting. And I think they have backed off on it. I don't think they are going to ban him.
All right.
But I hope they do. I really do. Because he's the kind of person who could actually fight this fight and get rid of these, in my opinion, predatory business practices from Wizards of the Coast. Like I said, not like I said, I said this before the show in our pre-meeting, but I believe you should be able to refuse service to anyone you want.
Yes.
But when you're a publicly traded company and you're banning people from playing your game, officially, right?
Yes.
Just because you don't like what you see them post on social media is very scary. It's, to me, that's the fact that this is even an issue is scary in this time. And I don't like it. Do you have any thoughts on Wizards of the Coast in this kind of situation, RC? I've been talking a lot.
Well, you're more versed on this than I am. They seem to have an agenda that they are trying to push. They seem to have another type of agenda where they want to remove people who don't agree with their main agenda off of social media platforms, and they want to create. They want to control the message for what gets out about their product, how their product's received, who is perceived to play their product. And I agree with what you're saying that as a business owner, you should be allowed to. The rules for a business owner are different from the rules of a publicly traded company.
Yes.
And I mean, basically, I agree with what you're saying. Yeah.
Because they're all basing these bans off their own. Like Wizards has a code of conduct that they say you have to follow to play their game, right? And to me, that's ridiculous. Like a code of conduct makes sense if you're an employee, right? If you're an employee, you have to follow the code of conduct of whatever business you're hired from, or else you got to leave, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's your choice to work there or not.
Right.
Or if you're a student at a university, this is an example as part. If you're a student at a university and you're going there that's like a hard agreement between you and the university that you will follow the code of conduct of the university to attend there, right?
Sure.
But to buy a product and play the game, you have to and the code of conduct is not even. I can understand if the code of conduct involved, like if it was just cheating, right? Like the thing is like there have been people who are cheated in the game. Yeah. Right, and like on the professional level to win thousands of dollars, they are getting lighter sentences than this guy who got like a lifetime ban for I don't know, like roasting a cosplayer. Like it's actually it's crazy. And I just I don't like where Wizards is heading. They're going like other businesses, like they're just focusing on ideology and what they consider to be justice and rightness, as opposed to just being a business, making sure the product is quality. Like I can't, like I was talking to some old like people that I used to play Magic with, and they're like, "Oh, have you been playing?" And I'm like, "No, I can't justify spending $15 a draft when I know the cards I'm going to open are damaged." And you think it's going to get better if I have to spend $40 for the draft? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like. I can't justify doing that. That's the other reason to buy a Scars and Mirrodin box, by the way, is the cards are quality. Like I watched someone open a box on YouTube and like the foils all look spectacular and the cards don't bend and you can feel that they're thicker and just so much is better. Like and the set was designed well and it wasn't mailed in like this Masters 25 set. Though one side note of Masters 25, I'm looking through the spoiler. And I had a friend text me that they want to buy the set now because, or at least collect this card because they didn't even know this card existed. They're like a newer player, but there's a card. No, there's a card.
No? Oh, okay.
No, there's a card from I think that's Urza's block. The gears, right?
Yeah.
Is called Horseshoe Crab, and it's just a horseshoe crab, and and he's like and he's from I'll just say he's a friend of mine from Delaware, and Delaware's like famous for horseshoe crabs, and he just thought it was funny that Magic has a card just called Horseshoe Crab. That's a horseshoe crab. Yeah. But anyway, yeah. So that's all I wanted to talk about with the whole MTG line thing is that the fact that there's some sort of code of conduct that the customers of a business have to follow is ridiculous to me, and I hope it gets challenged. Because I was having this conversation when Unsleeved Media got banned originally with someone who was like, "Well, it's their terms of service; they can do whatever they want." And I'm just like, terms of service doesn't mean that like they're free from like not breaking the law or the Constitution, right? Like Apple can put in their terms of service that you have to give them your firstborn child if you agree to it, right? But it doesn't mean that if they go to court, that the court's not going to be like, obviously you can't put giving a firstborn child in your terms of service. Like it's ridiculous. Like, and the fact that and then
also
people,
it kind of raises an interesting space in the fact that the Wizards has like removed themselves from distanced themselves from the judge program in the past by saying like no judges are not employees of Wizards of the Coast, yet they're trying to hold sway over these like tournaments that are officiated by the judges who are not the employees of Wizards of the Coast.
Yeah,
so I don't know how that would work out.
Apparently, there was a class action lawsuit that I think got stalled that the judges were suing for back pay because they were trying to say that yes, we are employees of Wizards of the Coast. Right. It's very obvious they are, even though they claim that, like you can say they're not all you want. But if reality reflects something different, then I understand they're not paid by Wizards of the Coast. But that's why they had to stop making those judge promos, by the way. Well, now they still make them, but don't do them like as much or as frequently, I think, as before. Because how do you think that looks to a judge where you just go like, well, yeah, they don't pay us, but all they do is they give us these cards that are worth hundreds of dollars on the secondary market every time we work. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, they're not paying, and the judge will be like, oh, really? You're like, would look at Wizards and be like, oh, really? You're not, that's not considered pay to you? You know what I mean? Like, oh, no, of course not. But, yeah, it's, Magic's in a sorry state, man. And the only way it's going to change is like top down change. Like Hasbro has to come in and like replace people. But I'm thinking Hasbro might just be the problem.
Yeah, I think so many of these like super big corporations are all just they're leaning left, social justice warrior. Like that's the type of thing they're all like seem to be trying to morph into.
I just don't understand. It kills sales. They're like, I don't understand. They used to be all about money, but now they're all about saying like proving their virtue.
Right. You know? Yeah. Which okay, that what you just said is reminds me of something that I was talking to somebody about recently. Do you remember like maybe 10 or 15 years ago, there was like this concept that like corporations are just, and it still exists today, like corporations are evil. Like they're just like these money-making machines that don't care about human interests, and all they care about is like the bottom line. They're evil entities. And so like if a corporation told you like, oh, hey, do this or do that, you'd always like treat that information like with a little like suspicion. Like, why are they telling me to do this? Why should I be doing that? And now these corporations come out with some sort of moral message, and they're supposed to be like, oh yeah, we like to see people of all nationalities and people do these sort of things, and we're welcoming to everyone, and like they put on this like moral shroud of like trying to push some sort of agenda like that, and everybody just like eats it up as if, oh yeah, I'm going to trust what the big corporation wants. I'm going to trust this message that they're trying to push to me.
And we can like transfer this here to this, because I actually really like this topic here, is that I think it's because it's the difference between the right and the left is just because the left will just like to hear whatever they want to hear. You know what I mean? And yes, there are people on the right who are like that, but on the whole, it's not as bad. Like, for example, like when you ask most conservatives like what the worst problem is, like one of the first things they'll say is like the Republican Party is shit. You know,
right,
like they're very distrustful of the people that claim to represent them.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, that's true.
Whereas, like it's hard to like. Yes, it started a little bit in the last election cycle with the whole Bernie thing, where like people were like, oh man, the DNC is so corrupt or whatever. But that all blew over as soon as like the general election started, because they're like, oh no, we just have to go for Hillary. I don't care how corrupt she is. We just can't not vote Democrat. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
right.
Whereas like the thing is, and yeah, it hurt her. Like obviously, like Trump won or whatever. But like the reason he won is not because it's not because that he was so good. It was because she was so bad. And I think that's just the problem with the left is they don't care how bad the things are that represent them as long as they talk the right talk, which is why the whole corporation thing is why people are like.
But why do people trust corporations now when they didn't used to trust corporations? What have corporations done to win them over? Unless people are more stupid and more complacent today than they were back then. Like, oh, everybody's got their iPhone and their Netflix and stuff, so they don't really care about like poison being dumped into a river or that type of thing. Like, it seems like people used to hate corporations, and now they're like, oh, Pepsi Cola thinks like open borders is good, so let's just do that and go along with Pepsi Cola. As an example,
yes,
you know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying, and I think it's because of the mentality of today's left, in that it doesn't matter who or what a person is, as long as they are spouting your ideology, they're the good guys.
They're the good guys. So why does seemingly no corporation ever take the opposite viewpoint? Why are they all? They're all going this SJW path. Why is that?
Because the left actually buys into stuff like that. That's why. In that, it's not that they buy into is the wrong word, because they don't actually buy. They don't actually support these businesses with money. As
diversity in comics will show you.
Yeah, his diversity in comics. Have you watched some, by the way?
I've watched a little bit of it. Yeah.
Yeah, but like, here's the thing: is they don't buy, but what the thing is like they actually believe. Like, the thing is, I think it's just because they actually believe them. Because like, if Pepsi Cola came out tomorrow and was like, we are, I don't know, we'll say in favor of the Second Amendment or whatever.
Yes.
Like, I feel like most people who are in favor of the Second Amendment would be like, well, whatever, who cares? Like,
Okay.
whereas on the left, when they have their commercial that promotes open borders, that gets like shared and all this stuff on Twitter for everything. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Like,
yeah, just a bunch of signaling. They just want to signal to their other liberal friends about how liberal they are. They're like trying to outdo each other.
Exactly. Like, they're just like, oh, but they don't actually want to do anything. Like, it's like
I'm not going to go help clean up the oil spill, but I'm going to like repost a video about people cleaning up the oil spill, like that type of crap.
Exactly. And my man Jordan Peterson says about this, like, like these people want to be activists when they haven't, like, for example, I don't know if you've watched a recent Diversity in Comics video where this guy named Kieran Shake who's like he's a hard SJW and lives in Britain. And he, like, one of the great artists in comics right now is this guy named Ethan Van Sciver, whose only crime is that he's a Republican. He is not. He's not alt-right. He's not. All he is he's a conservative.
So he lives in the U.S. The comic artist.
Yeah. He lives in the U.S. somewhere. Right. I don't know where, but he lives somewhere in the U.S. And he's been around for a while. Like, he's drawn, like, he's most famous, I think, for Green Lantern. Like, he has a really good Green Lantern run, I think, is what I'm told. Okay. I'm not that into comics, but I do like the characters and stuff. But
Green Lantern is DC, and as far as the way I understand it, DC has not gone down the path of the SJW.
Not as much, but it has gone down that path.
It has gone down that path. Okay.
But so he works for DC, and so his whole deal is the SJWs found this sketchbook he made. So, like, when you would go to conventions, I guess a popular thing to do is you compile, like, old sketches of unreleased artwork into books, and then you can sell the books for, like, whatever dollars a piece at the convention to, like, make some money.
That's cool.
You know what I mean? Like, it's a good way for artists to, like, make some money when they're, like, if they're not, like, working or whatever at the time or whatever it is, just to make extra cash in general.
Sure.
Which I think is fine. Like, if people want to buy them and they want to make them, like, that's fine. Like, I don't see a problem with that. Mm-hmm. So, but one of his things is he made a joke. He's famous for Green Lantern. So, if you know, Green Lantern's his most famous villain is Sinestro, who's kind of basically like a space Hitler, right? So he made the sketchbook. He drew Sinestro to kind of be Hitler looking, like he has like the brow and like the mustache. Okay. Right, but it's Sinestro, and the sketchbook was called My Struggle.
Okay, all right.
So it was made as a joke, obviously, is what it was.
Yes,
because you can't, because as Mel Brooks has shown you, you can't joke about Nazis. But but that's if people don't know, that's a sarcastic because Mel Brooks is famous for making jokes about Nazis. Anyway.
But Mel Brooks is Jewish, so he's allowed to.
Yeah, he's Jewish. Yeah, he's Jewish. So he literally made like a play called like Springtime for Hitler and is produced whatever. Mm-hmm. He's great. I love Mel Brooks. Yes. Anyway, so these SJWs find it, and because they're looking for dirt on him, so they have to go 10 years in the past to find this one sketchbook of his, because his crime is that he doesn't vote straight ticket Democrat and he works in comics. So these people are just calling him a Nazi. They keep calling him a Nazi. They're like, he's a Nazi. He's a Nazi. He likes Nazi imagery. So, like, to the point where, like, if you Google his name, it comes up him Nazi, right? Like, so it's like defamatory. It's awful, right? Yeah. And so recently, one of the guys who's been doing this named Kieran Shake, like, posted a picture of himself. He just got out of seeing Hamilton in London, so seeing a Broadway play in London, right? Yeah. And then posting his PayPal link. Because he's like, we don't have any money. If you could, like, throw in some money to get us some food, we'd appreciate it. So he's, like, begging for a sandwich. Well, so this is the same guy who's trying to, like, destroy someone's career who's actually successful. Yeah. He's, like, begging for money for a sandwich over the internet. Which is just shows you, like, where his priorities are. Like, like maybe instead of, like, focusing on, like, trying to take down someone's career to find like imaginary Nazis everywhere. Instead, you could, look for gainful employment. But
not spend your money on useless entertainment if you don't have enough money to buy food.
yeah, it's the same. If you don't even have enough money to buy a sandwich, why are you going to see Hamilton? Like, it's insane. And I know we kind of like dawdled off on the topic here, but I think this is fun to talk about. Like, these people, like they can't even afford food, but they're just so intent on like rooting out the Nazis that apparently exist. There's so there's more Nazis now than there were in like 1942. Like, there's so many. Like, and it doesn't matter who you are. There's black Nazis and Jewish Nazis, and there's just so many Nazis everywhere. I just don't understand, man. Like, what is this? Honestly, I think it's a fetish. Like, I feel like they almost get they get off on like calling people Nazis because they have to if they do it this much,
Yeah, they're always looking for that boogeyman, and like I think if they ever found it, or if the problem ever got fixed in their minds, like if there even is a problem, I don't know what they do with their time. I mean, like you said, he's not looking for employment or whatever. It's like he'd rather occupy his time with these like useless wild goose chases than actually like assess his life and do something worthwhile. Sounds like it, which is what a lot of these SJWs do.
Yeah, and I know there's a lot of SJW hate channels or whatever, and the thing is like, I pity them. I see them as like, for the most part, like, yeah, there's some hardline ones that actually want to do damage to society, but a lot of them I just see as like, they've just been pretty much brainwashed by the education system into like thinking this is the way to think, and they haven't been given other options. Like, the thing to me, if you indulge me a little bit, RC,
sure,
like a big problem, and I'd like to get your opinion on this. I think a big problem is like the scrutiny and the what's it called, the negative connotation that like technical schooling has in the world, right? In the U.S. at least. Right now.
If you wanted to be a carpenter or something
like if you wanted to be a carpenter or a plumber or an electrician, like, it's looked as like, no, dude, you need to go to college and get a useless degree so you can be a college professor somewhere instead.
Well, I think we'd have to spend multiple episodes probably going into the overall structure of this, but I think that mentality is partially pushed by the media, what you see on TV, and academia, I think, promotes that. I don't know how you can reverse it, because unfortunately people are so like plugged into the internet, television, Twitter, all this stuff. People are more into the whole social media thing now than they were in the past, and I feel like a lot of those messages come through on that platform. But if you were to strip that away, I mean, like, what's the next step in human civilizations? Like, hopefully, if things don't go to pot, we'll be traveling to outer space. Now, when we go to Mars, are they going to send any sociologists or gender studies people there? Or are they going to send carpenters and people who know how to weld and produce things? I mean, that's like useful. That's what really something that's useful. Mm-hmm. And people don't think about it that way.
Yeah, they're going to send, like, scientists. Like, yeah, to me, the only reason anybody should go to college is if they want to be a scientist or an engineer. Other than that, there's, like, no and this, take this from someone who studied history in college, one of the biggest mistakes of my life.
Well, the history is, like, a more useful humanity, I would say, compared to others.
It's more useful, but still not very useful. Like, it's nice to talk about, and I agree, we do need people who know history and can expand on it. I agree, but the thing is like, it's oversaturated. There's too many. There's too many people who are studying history. We don't need that many. There's too many people who are studying sociology. Too many people that are studying maybe not psychology.
We don't need anybody studying sociology, honestly.
I'll take one guy. There should be one guy or girl studying sociology.
Okay.
But like, we don't take them very seriously. Like, we'll just check in every few months to be like, what you got? And be like, okay, we'll think about that, and then just leave him, shove him back in the closet.
Yeah.
But but yeah, there's some other like gender studies. We don't need anybody on gender studies.
No, it doesn't do anything.
What we need people in is evolutionary biology because people have forgotten that exists.
Yes.
And
geneticists. I think we need lots of geneticists to try to figure out.
The more like the older I get, the more I realize that genetics plays so much more.
Yes, we need to genetically modify so many things, or not even modify, but just find ways to artificially select for things that we want in our food, in our offspring, in our pets. Like
everything.
Genetics is very important. Like physics is very important. Engineering is super important. Architecture is important.
Just how we're gonna to me is how we're gonna cure diseases in the future. Hopefully,
with genetics, yeah.
Like that's the way you have because that's the only thing. Like for example, the only thing we're 100% certain, right, that causes cancer is genetics.
Sure.
Like they can say anything like will give you higher chances of cancer.
Mm-hmm.
But like anything that but we can't say it causes it directly because, like for example, like smoking
Mm-hmm.
does increase your chances of lung cancer. But there's also people who live to be 115 who smoked 8 packs a day. You know what I mean? So like, how do you explain that? And it's genetics. That's how you explain
genetics. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like if we could find that person, right, who could smoke 8 packs a day and still not get cancer and live to be like 110. Right? If we could find that person and find whatever genetic makeup in them that makes them be able to do that, right? And then be able to apply that to all of humanity, right? Then you have humans that are now immune to lung cancer or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I understand it sounds far-fetched and maybe it's like stupid from a layman's perspective. I'm no scientist, but I'm just saying that like genetics to me seems to be the way of the future, not I don't know, gender studies.
No.
So I know we've rambled off.
This has been the stream of consciousness episode.
Yeah.
From one topic to another.
Yeah.
But I'm enjoying every topic. So.
Yeah. No, this is good. About how much time do we got left, RC?
I'd put us about 10 to 15 minutes.
Okay, let's switch to just this last topic then, because we did want to cover this.
Yeah.
So the Second Amendment and guns have been in the news a lot lately, and
yes.
And we wanted to have like a discussion about the actual people and events that are involved, but we could also expand this to other episodes as well. But like the whole philosophy behind having a Second Amendment versus not, as I think very interesting, and one of the big things that separates the U.S. from the world and why the U.S. is so much better of a country than so many others. So we wanted to talk about the obviously everyone knows about the shooting by now.
Yeah.
But one subject we wanted to Nicholas Cruz, the
disturbed youth in Florida who shot and killed 17 people, Parkland, Florida.
Yep. And ever since then, there's been there is with almost every shooting, there's a gun debate. I will say that after the Omar Mateen shooting in Orlando, where a Muslim shot a bunch of people, like 50 people in a gay nightclub, there wasn't as many people calling to abolish the Second Amendment then, I'll say. But anyway, there's usually some sort of thing that'll never happen. Like to me the argument is so moot because we have the amendment, or at least the way the laws work in America, to where you would need another constitutional amendment, and that'll never happen in this country. We'd have civil war before that. So but the people, so there's this group of people, and I think it's there's 2 main kids, and then there's 4 of them that are in the group that are basically like these poster childs that the media has propped up to like.
So, we got was it Emma Gonzalez? Is that her name? The
one with the shaved head.
Bisexual,
Just like.
And then what are the other 2? I know that the David Hogg, he's like the leader of the crew, but what are the other 2? Do you know their names?
I don't know their names. And the thing is like I don't think their names are important.
Well, like one of them's black, and is the other one white?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, so it looks like
I love like the video of them like all happy when they're about to go on Ellen. Like that's one of my favorite ones. It's just like
I've heard them being criticized as like the Burger King Kids Club, or it looks like
the Burger King Kids Club. Yeah.
It looks like a group of kids that was like designed by a corporate committee. Like, oh well, we need some more diversity, so let's put this one in there too. And
it looks like a Marvel comic nowadays. There's a woman with a shaved head. There's a black guy, and there's a white guy who's ambiguous in his sexuality, and then there's. But it's almost. I would say that they're almost fake. I mean, I know they're not fake, but it's like they're doing their best to be fake. You know, it's actually a little weird.
I mean, they surely have some level of like sociopathology to them, like the way that they're able to like laugh and smile and stuff. I know that the kids that died during the shooting, they probably weren't on like very close terms with any of them, but the fact that they seem to be using it to their own benefit, like they're all opportunists, doesn't make them look very good, and doesn't make them look very sincere either.
Yeah, and like it looks like they're just trying to get famous off of this, which I think is awful. But the thing is that I think they're kids, and I think they're being pushed into it for whatever reason. It's like I think they do want to do something, right? Okay. But they're kids. They don't know how. Like the thing is like, how ready were you to like change the world when you were in high school? Right?
I was so stupid when I was 17 years old.
Yeah, me same here. I was retarded when I was 17 years old. So like it's hard for me to take them seriously as 17-year-olds. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think they're being pushed into it because like they're being encouraged to be like, yeah, go. Like, and I think the media plays a big part in that because they're giving them all this attention. Like they don't get this attention unless the media puts them on these shows. You know.
Right.
And my favorite my favorite one of those, like, it was like a little cartoon drawing of it had like the shaved head girl, and she's like sitting there like, don't you see this? And like there's a person in the media like next to her is like, yeah, quick, burn the Constitution. Like, just like, sorry, like you're not like get your priorities straight. Like, we're not handing over our freedoms because
on the whims of some like ill-informed 17-year-old who doesn't know shit about anything.
Exactly. and to blame, and we can like transfer this into like a little bit of a discussion about guns. I don't know your whole opinion on the whole thing, RC, but my opinion is that we're already too restrictive on the Second Amendment. Like, people should be able to own whatever they want, in my opinion. Unless you're a criminal, there is no reason for you to not be able to own like anything except for maybe a nuclear weapon. In my opinion.
Yeah. I tend to agree with that, like in theory, because the whole point of the Second Amendment is that, my understanding is that it was created because the founding fathers of this country did not want to have any sort of tyrannical governments rise up and try to enforce their will upon the people. They wanted the average citizens to maintain some form of freedom, and bearing arms is your way to do that. So if the government has a rocket launcher, you should probably have a rocket launcher too to counteract them. I mean, I know that doesn't sound very good, but that is the spirit in which the Second Amendment was written, is that the average citizenry could have the
same weapon,
the same artillery as the military to some level. Like they even said, nuclear weapons and jets and stuff excluded, but yes.
Even originally, it wasn't limited to just like people like to say like, oh, they're just talking about muskets, and I'm like, no, like we actually have a letter written from James Madison, the guy who wrote the Constitution, basically, to like a captain of a ship, like a private ship, and he was like, well, that Second Amendment, does that apply to my cannons? Like, am I allowed to have as many cannons as I want? And you have to remember, this time, cannons, that's like the biggest thing you could have.
That's like equivalent to a tank, pretty much.
Yeah, and the James Madison wrote back, he was like, yeah, of course, 100%. Like, not even, like, it's not, like, you're supposed to have it doesn't matter. And I love that argument, like, oh, it only should apply to muskets because I'm like, oh, yeah, so your First Amendment rights don't apply to Twitter because...
because that didn't exist back then.
That didn't exist back then, so obviously we can restrict your free speech on there. And Also, Scientology. Never mind. I was about to go down another rabbit hole, but but yeah. So we're already too restrictive on it, and you can do whatever you want to say that, like, oh, we need to restrict. Like, no, people should own whatever they want, and if you want to ignore the actual problems of why all these shootings are happening, like, for example, one, mental health, and two, the reason that mental health is so bad, especially in these shooters, because you can say that, and I understand that correlation is not equal causation, but I'm willing to bet everything I own that this trend of fatherlessness in young boys is causing them to be awful people. Like these people, like many boys in America, are growing up without father figures. I was lucky enough to have one in my life for most of my childhood. My parents got divorced when I was like 16. And yeah, that's not my whole development, but it's a lot better than your father leaving when you're 4. Right?
Yep.
At least you have someone to like teach you responsibility. And like the thing is like the main argument is like, oh, you're saying a mother can't teach what a father can teach. And I'm like, well, yes and no, right? Like there are some things that like fathers are better at than mothers. Like it's just the way it is. And there's something that like thing is like I wouldn't want kids to be raised without mothers either. I think the most efficient way to raise a kid is to have a mother and a father, because that's the way we've done it all of evolution, and it seemed to work out pretty well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we're genetically designed to want that. You know, as a like you, because you're, I mean, well, you're a different type of biologist, but like as some sort of scientist, like wouldn't you say that like there's something to back up the fact that that
like men and women both have a part in the rearing of a child? I would say yes, that's true. I mean, a simple explanation would be if you look at other primates, they do things a little bit differently. There's like usually an alpha male, and he mates with all the females in the pack, but there's also other males, beta males, in that group that do periodically mate with the females when the alpha's not around. And all members of the like troop, if you're talking about like chimpanzees or gorillas, they interact with the offspring, and there's like a community there where the offspring interact with males and female adults. But human beings are not gorillas. But that's just like, if you were to compare us to animals, you could do that. You could say that. But throughout the history of humans, sorry, go ahead.
Those would be the closest relatives.
Those would be the closest relatives, and I mean they do things way more simpler than humans do. But if you look at humans, even since like the Stone Age, it's always been like men and women raising a child together to some degree, and more modern civilizations that still maintain that like Stone Age technology, and like in Papua New Guinea and places like that, where it's basically a Stone Age society that exists in 2018. You have a man and a woman will have a child, and both parents are present in that child's life. Which leads me to believe that humans have been doing it for the entire length of time that they've been on the planet.
Yes, and it's just like all the statistics that like, and yeah, this is the last time I'll say this, but yes, I understand that correlation does not equal causation. But when all these things correlate, you have to at least think that there's a connection. Like the fact that like sorry, I'm trying to think of the word.
That's okay. I did this earlier in the episode.
When the chance of like you serving jail time goes up if you don't have a father, if you're a boy. When the chance of you dropping out of school goes up when you don't have a father.
Sure.
When the chance of you joining a gang. When the chance of you doing the same thing, like becoming a absentee father. When the chance of you becoming I don't know, a school shooter goes up. When you you know what I mean? Like when all this the chance of you not being able to hold down a job, the chance of you being homeless, like all these horrible things that can happen to you in life, right? like all the chances of it go up if you are raised in a single mother household.
Yes.
And to me, that is the biggest problem in society
Yes.
right now.
The breakdown of the American family. Yeah. Family structure.
I saw it was a great. I know Twitter is not but it was a great tweet from Owen Benjamin, who's a comedian, but also really has a lot of good insights on like modern culture.
Sure.
Had another tweet after the shooting where he was just like, so yeah, like 97% of mass shooters come from fatherless households. So yeah, I'm going to push my family values bullshit on you because that's what's saving lives at this point.
It's a good point.
And to me, I know we started talking about guns, but to me, like these are the kind of values in American society that are going away, but need to come back if we're going to make it any better. One is family.
You're talking about the value of guns,
or like both, like value of family values and the value of knowing what your Second Amendment right is, and the history of it, and
better knowledge of the Constitution.
Better knowledge of the Constitution,
yeah.
And they're already they change history books to like misrepresent things. Like I've seen pictures of like history books now that says like the Second Amendment is only if you want to like organize in a militia are you allowed to. That's not the point. Like the whole point of like to maintain a militia, like the reason they said to maintain a militia is so the militia can then go fight the government in case it becomes tyrannical. Like that's the whole point. Is you have to remember when the Constitution was written, states' rights were very important.
Yes.
Like that was like the biggest argument when they were ratifying the Constitution is how much power the federal government was going to have compared to the states. They tried the Articles of Confederation, which didn't work because the federal government was too weak. But then with the Constitution, they decided, okay, we're going to have the federal government have some powers, but we can't. Like that's why we have like a 10th Amendment, which says that anything specifically not outlined in the Constitution is to be handled by the states.
By the states, yeah.
Yeah, and to me, that's other than like that. To me, that's the amendment that's the most misunderstood and the most trampled on that gets us into trouble.
Yeah. Is that why California is allowed to sell marijuana, but like other states aren't? That comes down to that, right? It's like the states decide that sort of thing.
Yes, but or
like the abortion issue.
The government can so the federal government has the power to regulate commerce, so they can they have the power to say some things are banned from being sold. But since in our modern times that some states have just like if you are selling weed in Colorado, for example, where it's legal, it's legal. The Colorado police will not mess with you, but the DEA, like the Federal Drug Administration, can like come in and arrest you if they want to, because you're breaking federal law.
What if whatever product they're interested in regulating doesn't ever cross state boundaries? Like you're growing something in Colorado and selling it in Colorado, and it never leaves. They still have the ability to come in and mess with that.
Yes, from what I mean, I have to research, but I think the reasoning is because you can't prove that you're only selling it to people in Colorado and it's staying in Colorado. Like, for example, the people in southern Wyoming can just cross the border, go to the dispensary, buy it, and then bring it back over and smoke it in their free time. Like, it's not like there's nothing stopping them from doing that.
I see. Right.
So,
I learned a little bit about my amendments today. Thank you.
Well, no, yeah, I love the Constitution, but like to me, the Constitution is like one of those beautiful things ever written, like the U.S. Constitution.
Sure.
And if we follow, the thing is the fact that if everything would just be better if we just followed. The fact is just there's too much federal overreach of power. That's the problem.
Yeah.
The federal government has just got more powerful and more powerful.
And the states are not as powerful.
Yeah, the states are not as powerful. And like I said, I don't think we should return to like an Articles of Confederation where the federal government has no power. Because then you have problem. Like one of the problem was like for example, New Jersey and Delaware had different currencies. So you had if you just went from like Delaware to New Jersey, you had your money wasn't good anymore. You know what I mean? You need a federal government to like do something like to regulate a treasury, but you don't need a federal government to like regulate marriage or regulate abortion. Well, honestly, the federal government should regulate abortion, in my opinion, but not in the way that our lefty friends would agree with. You know.
We are over the hour mark at this point.
Okay. I'm sorry. I ended that on a bombshell, right? So there's people aren't gonna like me for that, but go
ahead. Closing thoughts.
Closing thoughts is we need to follow the Constitution more. It's too much federal overreach of power. Masters 25 sucks. Don't buy it. Especially for $10 a pack. Yeah, you're gonna get it for less than $10 a pack. I understand that, but it's not worth drafting. Just if you want a good draft format, go find a cube, or go draft like Konzatark here or Return Ravnica. There's no reason for you to have to go draft Masters 25. And one thing I didn't mention was. Now that the whole set's been spoiled, it's 100% clear. Like I was I thought if the set was like really good, then the unbanning of Jace would be like a little bit defended. But now that the set like sucks, the fact that they unbanned Jace is like 100%.
Yeah,
they're trying to sell this set. Yeah, there's just like no defending it. Anyway, we're over the hour mark. So anything you want to say, RC?
Start collecting those relentless rats.
Ooh.
That's the only thing I can say. And David Hogg has a very punchable face, but he's just a stupid 17-year-old kid. So
yeah, he's just a stupid kid. They'll figure out. Well, hopefully they will. Hopefully they'll get their first job and they'll figure out that like life isn't all. That's what happened to me, right? Like I'll get into it later. But like
spending a little time in the real world lets you change your views on things.
Yeah, like. See how like what taxes get taken out of your paycheck and stuff like that. Like, but anyway, that was episode 4 of the Geek Culture and Philosophy podcast. I hope you enjoyed. Timestamps are going to be a little hard for this episode. I've just realized because
if you made it to the end, congratulations.
Yeah, if you made it to the end, like, comment, and subscribe because you definitely want to at this point.
That's GCAP podcast at gmail.com for any complaints or comments.
Yeah, if you want to hate on us for being very or me, I'll put this one on me. This was not RC's fault. It was my fault. It was very rambly because we had a plan and then I just shit all over it. But
I'm happy with that. How it turned out. It was good. All
right. Well, it's already gone on long enough. So, like I said, like, comment, subscribe. GCAP podcast at gmail.com. I'm Mike.
I'm RC. Thanks for listening.
And thanks, guys. Have a good one.